First off, let me encourage y'all to, no, that is not the slide I want. No, first off, muy importante announcement. Course policy change, structure of the course change. I announced at the beginning of the semester that participation points are based on, are you making any good faith attempt at all whatsoever to answer the questions? I am gonna get mean now. Every single question has to be perfect or you die. Just kidding, no. But I am going to start giving the first and maybe the last question of each day. I'm going to give things to see were you paying any attention at all. They will be questions that are intentionally chosen to be as straightforward as possible. For instance, how many fingers am I holding up? How many fingers am I holding up? Can you see how many fingers am I holding up? This is Google question A, and this is your first participation points problem. If you can see how many fingers I'm holding up, enter, and very important, you have to follow instructions better than you have been as a class, not individual people. Do not type the letters of the word that make up this. I want one character, the numeral that shows the number of fingers that I'm holding up. Okay? Okay, so did y'all see if you're here online? By the way, that also means if you're late, sorry, not sorry, you're dead. You missed those points. And it will be, if I give 2 questions, if you miss one of them, that's 50% of your participation gone. There are going to be questions that are something sort of kind of similar to this, but if you fall asleep in lecture, if you attend on Zoom and are totally not listening, if you're not working at it at all, then you're going to lose your participation points. If you answer one question wrong and there's only one question, 0 points for the day, okay? You have to be at least slightly awake and paying some kind of attention. For the people online, by the way, if you have to attend online, you have to attend online. If there's sickness or whatever, please don't come to class. Here's how to see me biglier. Go to View and put it side-by-side gallery or side-by-side speaker. If you're, no, this should be hiding non-video participants. Okay, I guess what it is it's got to be side-by-side gallery, and I have turned off non-video participants. So for instance, if you go to gallery, by default, it's got everyone's name. I'm going to click on the drop down here and say hide non-video participants. Then you can see me as big as you want. Again, here is the answer for Google question A. How many fingers am I holding up? Y'all can see this? Yeah, you can see this even on the video. 3, spoiler, fingers. I'll really give it away that time. Hey, by the way, if I do something physical and ask what physically am I doing, for instance, is the Google form question, if y'all can keep a help out, or at least a couple of you, if this is accidentally, sometimes this points at like random members of the audience who are prettier than I am, which is all of them. If this is actually pointing to something else and the question becomes impossible for the online people, be nice and point it out, okay? Yeah. Okay. Oh, people came late to class and missed the points. Oh, suck to be them. Yeah, it is late. Okay, so that's the big important announcement for the beginning of this. Wait, one last thing. Let me emphasize also, what am I emphasizing also? I will always announce which questions they are, okay? And the last question of the day I might run out of time, I might get distracted, might forget to give an intentionally very easy one. If I don't announce it, it's not for points, okay? Today, I forgot for the 3 o'clock class, let's have it uniform, I won't give an exit question. For instance, another example exit question, more sophisticated than how many fingers I'm holding up, might be, can you state the formula for weight? What is the weight formula? What is the weight formula? Weight equals, not MA, that's net force equals MA, mg. Mass times field. Yeah, gravitational field is what I want you to call G. But yes, m times G. I will also caution you, these things are going to be auto-graded after a little while by a computer, by my program that I write. I will, be nice and tell it to ignore capitalization. Maybe you write caps, maybe you write lowercase, whatever. I'm not going to criminalize that. But your answer must be readable by the computer. I will specify very precisely your letters must be separated with commas. If you just run them together, if you separate them with periods, if you separate them with spaces, you will not receive credit. Okay? I'm going to be hand checking at the beginning for a little bit to be sure that my program's giving the correct output. And if I see people continuously not listening to instructions and therefore would be missing easy points, I'll give a warning once or twice before I start actually letting the program do the entirety of the grading without oversight. But I will be moving to 100% computer analysis on these. You have to be able to listen to instructions. If there are any questions about formatting, about what I'm asking, you are always encouraged to ask me. Wait, one more. I always have people put answers in the wrong column. I will do my darndest to remember to tell you which column we are at. Please keep track. But if I ask for something in K and you put it in M, no points for you. Have to be able to listen to instructions. You may always ask questions. If you're not sure what I'm asking, ask. I'm here for you. Okay, so today, today's topic is listed as Newton's third law. A pushes B, B pushes A. Newton's third law is hard. There is a trick for figuring it out, but that trick depends on a base skill that we're still, at least as of the 3 o'clock class, dozens of people are struggling with. That skill is, are two things touching? We're going to practice this. It might sound simple, but I really want at least 90 of you to get this. Okay. The skill, again, are two things touching? There is a side skill, which is knowing the letters involved and being able to specify 3-letter patterns. What? Why is that not? Okay. I will remind you that when I ask for a 3-letter force name, triplet notation, when I say give me a force with the kind, dealer, feeler, what I mean is 3 letters. 1 letter, the kind of the force is W, N, T, S, or F. Weight, normal, tension, spring, or friction. The dealer is the object that causes the force. The feeler is the object that feels the force. Hint, the feeler is always the object that I say the force is on this object, is always the feeler. The dealer is the thing that exerts the force on that feeler. For the sake of being computer gradable, these will all be single letters. If you specify the word, if you type out normal of cat on blackboard, no dice for you, sorry. So I will always tell you what letter abbreviation we're going to use for what object. You have to use those uniformly. Questions about the formatting here. Notice there's no commas in here, okay? If you have more than one force that I ask for, you put a comma between each force. Any questions on format? Yes, please. Not the name, just the letter according to the name. Normal tension, yeah, that is the first letter. Yep. Hey, by the way, what's gravitational force's letter? Is G one of those letters? No, it's W. I've consistently always been calling gravity, gravitational force, gravitational pull, weight. Yeah. I'm going to write my program to take out the spaces. But yeah, what I'm going to put in as the default is no space. Comma separated values does not mention space, so no space. Good question. Good question. Other questions? Yes. I'm going to make it so that, yeah, I don't want you to juggle all the things. It's very easy to write a program that just compares auto-capped. So no, caps don't matter. Other questions about format? Can you do this? Yes, you can. Let's practice it a bunch to make sure that you can. Okay. The slide number 8 or whatever it was, I'm be shocked if that's actually right. Slide number 8 in the first day of dynamics says what? It says, here's how to find the forces on an object. If there's a planet nearby and you care about vertical, if there's a planet nearby and the vertical direction is at all interesting, weight force. Other than that, every other force is a touch force. There must be contact. They must be next to each other. They must be adjacent. The lines must be drawn so that they are near each other. If you have objects which are not touching each other, cannot be a force between those two objects. Not this semester. Next semester we'll talk about electricity and magnetism. That's not this semester. Normal tension, spring, friction always have an object touching. Normal, remember, two solids keeping each other from phasing through. Tension, a rope. Spring, an elastic cord, a spring, a rubber band, blah, 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 blah. I would say a word that indicates stretchiness. Friction, two surfaces touching that can move past each other, that are trying not to move past each other. Remember that dictionary of forces? We haven't dived into details on any, except for weight yet. But we'll get there. For now, I just want to identify, are there possibility of these forces, not even write the equations. No questions? Let's dive in. Example here. I have said these words out loud, but let me write them on paper. Here's the scenario. There's a table. There's a physics book on the top of the table. There's a coffee cup on top of the physics book. If I were asking you, for instance, to tell me about how the cup is supported, what kind of force supports like that? The solids exert to support. It's a normal force. What object is underneath the cup to be supporting it? The physics book. Okay, the letter for the physics book is P. The letter for the cup is C. Dealer, feeler. So the correct answer would be NPC. Normal of physics on cup is what supports the cup upward. It's good? Think you can do this? Okay, let's start small. List all of the things, not the forces, not the triplet notation yet, just the single letters for the things that can exert a force, possibly exert a force on the cup. Separate your things with commas. Again, I'm not asking for forces. I'm just asking for the letters of the objects which can possibly exert force on cup. Last, sorry, one more thing. I could probably write my program to deal with this, but by default, when we have comma separated list, alphabetize the first letter of what you're separating by. Yeah. The Earth is something you can lick. The Earth is something that can exert weight forces. You betcha. We are near Earth and we've got a vertical force. We've got vertical direction matters. Okay, so again, comma separated list, and unless I state otherwise, alphabetize these suckers, okay? Ready, set, go! We are on B. That is correct. B.
Yeah, but like the page. Yeah, take me out of the thing, so like page not found stuff. What the hell?
We are on B, not A. If you have missed A, sucks to suck. You must answer this in B. What are the objects that can exert forces of the kinds that we've been talked about? The kinds of forces that we're analyzing in this class. No magnetism, no buoyancy. Just the forces that we've been introducing. The objects capable of exerting those forces. Alphabetized, comma separated list. Not the full force name. Not the word, the letter. One more time, the question is list every object letter that is capable of exerting a force on the coffee cup. Just the object, just the letter, not the word, comma separated, alphabetized. So if you are, again, the routine is, I will point out that the Earth is an object. We are near the Earth. We are always near the Earth unless I specifically say deep space. Okay. The letter for the Earth is, let's pick something crazy like E. Okay. Earth is E. You may always include E if the Earth is nearby and exerts a force, which it always does. Ask me. What?
I got that too.
The file cannot be found for the Google form? Okay, if the Google form screws you over, please try, always edit response, but if it dies and you gotta relog in, yes, you can submit another response. It will still count for points, yeah. Make sure that you hit enter, submit on the last question. If I ask the last question of the day, make sure you hit submit, don't just leave the room. Okay, let's discuss this. Let me go ahead and grade real fast. Okay, this is your last chance to enter them, by the way. Chop, chop, quick like a bunny. One more time, I was asking for the single letter separated by commas, which represents the things capable of exerting a force on the cup. And this is definitely a thing that we need to practice because we've got a lot of mistakes here. My friends, this is half the class. Okay, we've got half the class here. Let's see if we can do better than that. The correct answer, shh, half of you are missing this, shh. E comma P. Nothing else will be accepted. With an optional space, sure. Oh, okay, so 46 mistakes. Okay, let's learn from some common mistakes here. What is wrong with EC comma PC? No, what's feeling? I didn't ask for dealer feeler. Just asked for the dealer. Okay. What do you think, Jane? Ah, EC comma PC is not E comma C comma P. They're not including C as the thing. What they were doing in there was what 10 people were doing in there was just talking about the dealer feeler for each force. They were cutting out the force name, but they weren't answering in the format of just specified the object exerting the force. Again, the instructeds were just specify the object exerting the force. I didn't say the object exerting the force and feeling the force. So EC or PC or GC or whatever is incorrect because I didn't ask you to talk about that. Also, what's wrong with including C itself? You can't exert a force on yourself. Am I flying? Oh, please let me be flying. You pull on yourself, you can bend, you can stretch, but you are not actually flying. Okay, so practice. So, okay, you okay with the objects exerting a force being the Earth because vertical and I didn't say deep space, and the physics book? Oh, wait, table was also a popular thing. Why is table incapable of exerting a force on cup? They're not touching. Look, this is here, that's there, and these are not touching each other. There's a physics book in the way. They have to be touching, not touching something which is touching each other. Okay, let's practice the triplet notation. Now that you know the answer is E and P only, hopefully that will give a big freaking hint. Tell me the kind, dealer, and feeler for each force on the cup. If there's more than one force, separate the forces with a comma. Not every letter with a comma, just the triplets. Triplet or triplets with a comma. For instance, if you think there are 5 forces on it, there will be 5 triplets with, I guess, 4 commas between. Right? Do you know what I'm instructing? Tell me the kind, dealer, feeler notation. Oh, yes. Wait, sorry. Detail. I have to add something. Alphabetizing by force name is going to be screwy, right? Because there's often, multiple N's, or W's, whatever. Once we get to that, let's establish the convention that the dealer is always going to be distinct, right? So alphabetized by dealer here. I know that's stupid, confusing, awkward, saying alphabetized by the second letter, but I can't see a better way to do it. Does that make sense? List it in alphabetical order by the dealer, the second letter, yeah. Sure. Let's talk about the forces, for instance, on the table. Example of this. There's a weight force of the Earth on the table. There's a normal force of the physics book on the table. There's a normal force maybe of the ground on the table. The dealer is the second letter. So I'm going to look at the second letter, E, G, and P. I'm going to alphabetize by that. The first letter in the alphabet is E. Well, first letter in these 3 choices is E, comma, then I'd say the next letter in the alphabet is G, so I'd say NGT, then finally NPT. So to choose to alphabetize them to make it simple for me to grade here, you look at not the first letter to alphabetize by, but the second, the middle letter. Does that make sense? Come up with your list of forces, look at the second letter. Come up with your list of forces first.
Like for the question you asked before.
Great. Now look at the second letter of each of those forces. You got them in front of you? So look at them. Look at the second letter, right? The one whose second letter comes first in the ABCs goes first. One whose second letter comes next goes next.
Like
You should write all 3 letters, but write them in the order based on the one thing that's guaranteed to be unique. Yeah? I know it's awkward, I'm sorry, but I gotta have something that gives on the cup. What? Oh, in Google form. Yeah, Google C. Google form C. This is C. Yes, put the forces on C in C. Oh my God, so many correct answers. Better, 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 better. Good, 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 good. No. Good, 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 good. No, 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 no. No. Yes, 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 yes. No, no. No, 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 no. Well, it's better anyway. Hey, one more time. What's wrong with writing a sentence here? E exerts a gravity force on C, P exerts a normal force on C is not how I asked you to write it. And if this becomes machine gradable, that's going to get 0% for the day. Okay, so you must follow my instructions when I tell you the formatting. If you include the words A and D, letters and, that will not match when I write my software. Okay, you got like 1 minute left to give me your darndest. Show me what you got, peeps. Sorry? Yeah, please. You will get 0 participation points for that. Exactly. We're still starting this skill. We're just barely getting into this. This is not what you're being graded on. I'm going to start with things like count the fingers. I'm going to start with things like what is the letter for normal force? What is the formula for weight force? We'll get more sophisticated. Wait, say that again? Will I clarify what? So I'm only ever going to ask for the first and the last. When I ask for the last, then people are going. When I ask for the first, not always, only when I say this is for points. If it's the first one, no, I don't want people to just cheat. Okay, so again, I'm going to be choosing things as absolutely as checking to see if people are paying attention and following instructions as possible. I can't yeah, only the ones that I specifically say are for points. Yeah. We'll get you there. Okay, time's up. Let's learn from mistakes. Because there are a lot of correct answers, good. But the first answers to roll in were all the correct ones, and there's still 40% of you are wrong. Okay, so let's learn from mistakes. What is wrong with C, comma, E, comma, T? What is wrong with C, comma, E, comma, T? Jane. Not just that. That's true. Wait. Wrong order. No, C, T is alphabetized. That's not what's wrong with it. What's wrong with C, comma, E, comma, T? How should it be separated? What would you put instead of C, for instance? Sure. Then, and then your third letter? Right, so one letter alone is not the same thing as 3 letters. One letter cannot possibly specify the force. The one letter alone can specify the thing that exerts the force. But if I ask for the force in triplet notation, I mean the 3 letters. And if there are multiple forces, 3 letters, comma, 3 letters, whatever. Okay, so C, comma, E, comma, T is incorrect because you didn't answer the question. What is wrong with WEC, comma, NGC, comma, NPC, comma, TPC? For instance, TPC is not possible in here. Why not? Again? T is for tension force. The first letter is the kind. T stands for tension. Tension is not acting on the cup because there's no rope on the cup. The student may have been thinking T is in table. Why isn't there a force called TPC with table physics cup? What kind of force is that? The first letter should be the kind of force. Also, Three things can't be interacting with one force. Force is an interaction between two things. There's always one dealer and one feeler. Okay, so learn from more mistakes. Why is NGC wrong? NGC. Could be if G in their mind meant gravity. Gravity is not even the name of a force. I want you to be saying W, not G. They might have also been thinking about the example that I gave earlier about forces on the table. Where is the ground located usually? I think usually it's below you, right? Below the table surface, for instance, unless this is in a cave. Is the cup touching the ground? There cannot be a normal force of the ground on the cup. No touchy. Why is G comma N wrong? There's no object G that's touching the cup. It's not in triplet notation. Why is NPC comma WEC wrong? You didn't alphabetize correctly. What's wrong with FP? What kind of force is F? Friction force. Is there a friction going on here? Ain't no friction. And you're missing the third letter. C. Okay. What's wrong with WCE? What's wrong with, why is WCE incorrect? Exactly. That would be included if I'm asking about on the Earth forces. Good. Okay, so that was 34 wrongos. Let's see if we can get less than that this time. Yeah, question me. You gotta be louder. It's a normal force. So, tell me, imagine, would that be left or right? Both? Can one force push both ways at once? Well, pick a direction. What do you imagine in your mind's eye the direction that friction is? Okay, is there any other force acting to the right? In your mind's eye, is the object going to accelerate leftward? There's no friction because there's nothing for that friction to be acting against. If I were pulling the physics book out from under the cup, the physics book has relative motion compared to the cup. The cup to be moving along with the physics book would need a friction force to be moving it along. There's no acceleration in here. There's no motion at all in here. There's nothing that is being opposed by friction. So there's no friction here. There is the possibility of friction. I'm not saying that friction is impossible between these pair of surfaces, but not in this case. Just sitting steady, possibility of something doesn't mean that it's there. Good question, though. Yeah.
For the future, like concept of friction, if you wanted us to tell us the direction before friction, how would we do that? Or ask that?
If I wanted a direction, I'd probably then introduce a fourth, which is plus or minus. Say plus NPC, minus NPC. That's a good idea. I should do that, but not yet. Certainly not yet. We need to practice this and get good at this. Get good at the notation just as much as the thinking about forces. Okay. As I said, 34 wrongos. Let's get that down to 10 or less. Tell me all of the no, not group, delete. Tell me all of the forces. Oh, for God's sake. Tell me all of the forces that act on the physics book. No, stop. Tell me all the objects which can exert a force on the physics book. All the objects that are capable of exerting force on the physics book. Specify the object as one letter. Separate the objects with a comma. Weight is not an object. Question? And alphabetize. Yes, always alphabetize. I'm asking for one letter. Just the objects. Objects, not the force. Object, 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 object. This is in Google form E, by the way. We are now on E. Every force, every object, damn it, that acts on physics book.
For some reason I thought you said E for a second.
Oh, butt ton of people put things in D. Oh, that was the answer already? Oh, you guys are fast. Good. Getting better. Good. Okay. D. Give me D. In E, Keegan, we were talking about the forces on the cup. We are now in D, specifying the objects on the physics book. You may help each other, by the way. I rather encourage it.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, we have
Yes, Aiden, that's what happened. Oh, Keegan, Aiden is right. Yes.
eight, six, seven, everything.
Okay, 1 minute left. Please turn to your neighbor and check them, including their notation. I'm training you in a new skill. I don't expect this to be perfect already, but at least one of your neighbors should know. Commas between each object. Commas between each force, but not commas between the force and its dealer feeler. In this case, there will be commas.
Oh, yeah.
One more time, the objects exerting a force on the physics book. In Google form D for delta. D is for delta, delta. It's fewer than 33. We're now at 24. Quarter of you. Okay, so let's learn from mistakes. What's wrong with E comma C comma T? Alphabet. E does not come before C. What's wrong with C comma T? Well, here, let me give the correct answer. There is a cup. There is an earth. There is a table. There's always an earth if we care about the vertical direction and I don't specifically say in deep space, right? Don't forget Earth. She's your mother. And then there are two things touching, C and T. Not just T, not just T, not just T. There's a cup on top. It is touching. What's wrong with, why you not say book? It's not touching itself. Yeah. Also, I don't want words. What's wrong with C, comma, E, comma, and T? There shouldn't be an and. I'm asking only for the letters and the commas. Okay, so again, the correct answer is C, comma, E, comma, T, reflecting the fact that the cup, the earth, and the table are either gravitational or touching to these. Keep that order. These are the dealers of the forces I'm going to ask about. Again, in the next answer, you should, hint, have 3 forces, and their middle letters should be C, E, and T, respectively, okay? Tell me every force that acts on the physics book. In triplet notation with a comma between, without the word and, not spelled out. Alphabetized like I just said. This is in Google form E. E for echo. No. I said E at first and then I corrected myself because Aiden pointed out, someone pointed out, no. Delete, delete, delete in E. Put it in E. E, 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 E. Yes, every force acting on physics. What acts on P? You just told me the objects that can exert forces on P. Now I want the triplet notation forces that act on P. Again, the force is a triplet notation. There should be 3 letters in each of the forces, not 1.
Yeah, I was saying like, yeah, I think a robot.
Turn to each other and please check that each is a triplet of letters separated by commas, that the first letter is the kind of a force, that the second letter is the causer of the force, hint C, then E, then P is going to be the T, then is going to be the order. Check the work. The whole triplet. The forces in triplet notation. You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Okay, 1 minute. Ask each other, by the way, what kind of force does each object exert? There are a whole bunch of goofs for the kinds. Again, we are alphabetizing by the dealer, not the first letter of the whole force triplet. They're going to be multiples, and it's going to, no, alphabetized by second letter. Hint, it's the exact same order as the previous answers. Oh, my sweet baby Jesus, we're now at 80% of y'all's. Half a second. I just want one last sweep through, see if I'm missing anything. Almost done. Okay, time's up. Question first. Yes. When I'm saying force triplets, otherwise there are a whole bunch of first letters that are the same. That's awkward. Okay, 85 correctos. Good, getting there. The correct answer here is, as I said before, the same order of second letters as in the previous answer. What was the previous answer? Okay, what kind of force does the cup exert? Normal, it's a touch force. Why isn't it the weight? The weight is a long-range gravitational attraction that is only exerted between things and planets. And your mamas. What kind of force does the Earth exert? What kind of force does the table exert? What is feeling all three of these forces? The correcto answer for credit would be, although this is not the thing that I'm also demanding you get right yet, NCP, comma, WEP, comma, NTP. Turn to your neighbor and explain to them why what you got wrong will be fixed next time. Or turn to your neighbor and help explain to them why what they did wrong. Then I'll take questions. Okay, let's bring it back together. Ask me a question about physics, about this. No one's willing to say it out loud. Okay, the next Google form question. In F for Foxtrot, ready? First off, what not to say. Don't say nothing. Don't say NA. Don't say I've got it. Don't say I understand. Capiche? If you understand and are happy, don't type an answer for F. I might actually even take off points if people, after specifically being told, say nothing. Type in the words nothing. Okay? Yeah, you understand you're keeping your hands away? Good. Okay. Google Form F. If you are struggling with something in here, tell me where, tell me why. Also, if you just say, this is confusing, that doesn't give me anything to work with. You need to tell me what part I'm wrestling with, you're wrestling with. So Google question F, if and only if this is breaking your brains. Oh my God, somebody said nothing. You know what? Damn it, I'm going to take off all their points. I told you, no, you get 0 points. I did warn you. I specifically told you. Sorry, no. Okay, let's answer the questions. Shh. If you're perfectly happy getting stuff right, great. Shh. If you're missing stuff, you might be missing more than you think. So listen to the other people's questions. I learned from the mistakes of others. Yeah. Google question 1. Will we ever have to determine if we're using triplet notation or single letters if we're not explicitly told, or will it be obvious? There is a simple answer to this. If I say objects, don't tell me forces. If I say forces, don't tell me objects. Forces are 3-letter. Objects are 1-letter. So you don't tell me 3 letters if I say object. An object doesn't have 3 letters. If I say a force, what about the rest of the force? What kind and what deals it or feels it? Okay, so again, the question is, will we ever have to determine when not explicitly told if we're using triplets or single letters? It depends on what I ask. If I say force, triplet. If I say object, single. Next question, do I want the letters capitalized when ordering? As I said, I will take care of capitalizing. No, it doesn't matter. I don't understand triplet notation. You need to give me more to work with. I don't understand which part is screwing you over. And you know what? No, I can review this again in a minute. Okay, I feel like I'm struggling because I don't understand what each force that can act upon an object is. I don't know which one is which. That I can also review briefly. Do I not want spaces after commas? You know what? I will go ahead and specify this now. No spaces. No spaces. Unless I specifically ever in the future, which I don't think I will, ask for spaces, no spaces. This sounds like bullshit, but seriously, I understand physics and this is confusing me because it's so obvious. Like for real, I want to do example problems like word problems and plug and chug. Okay, I get it. I know this is frustrating to many people, but I can't just teach, 60 people and leave the others to go fuck themselves. I'm sorry, I am here to teach everybody. I will say if there are 10 people struggling, then come to office hours, do something else, but I cannot leave 60 people in the dust. We have to get above, where we're at right now. I apologize for those of you who are bored. What is spring force? If I say there's a spring, there's an elastic cord, there's a rubber band. We'll later talk about the nature of this force, but hint, 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 I haven't given any examples for this. We're not doing it yet at all. Confused a triple notation. Okay, I'll give a review. Google question E was confusing. I need more than that to go on. Okay, I thought normal force only opposes the direction of gravity. Very important, good point. Hey, everyone, listen up. It is a very common goof to think that normal force always opposes gravity. Normal force always pushes objects away from each other. Normal force is always at right angle to the surfaces that are touching. If you have object A on top of object B, B is upward. Yes. I guess in that case, opposing gravity and my slap. This is a vertical object. If I push on this horizontally, the normal force is out of the board. That is to say horizontal. Vertical objects, vertical surfaces push horizontally. Horizontal objects push vertically. And you can push something down. I'm exerting a downward force on this floor. That's a downward normal force. Yes, you can push downward with normal just as much as normal can push up. So think about this. Normal is not always the opposite of weight. Normal is not always the opposite of weight. Sometimes, sure, but it is not the nature of normal. Normal is two surfaces pressing against each other, whatever magnitude is necessary to keep them from ghosting through each other. The alphabetic order is confusing. Okay, so if the alphabet is confusing, write it down on your note sheet and use that. That's okay. I mean, for goodness sake, I don't know the order of the alphabet in a different language, and there are plenty of international students. No shame if you're there. Or like, doesn't dyslexia screw with that? Okay, no shame if for various reasons you don't know the alphabet, if that doesn't come naturally. Just write it out. Write it out and use that to compare. Net force calculations. We're not even doing net force calculations. We'll talk about that when we talk about it. Why did we put in that order? I'm not understanding letters and what they mean. Why we put it in the order that we put it was because we're alphabetizing, as I said in the instructions, so that this can eventually get computer graded. Not understanding the letters, well, I will review real briefly what I said at the beginning of class in a minute for what these triplets and single letters mean. Google question, why was it WEP instead of NEP? WEP would be the weight force that the Earth exerts on the physics book. NEP would be the normal force that the Earth exerts on the physics book. How's gravity work? It's a weight force. Normal force would be, you know, like if something is touching the entire planet. And I will always distinguish between the floor or the ground or whatever and the planet Earth as a whole. Earth will always only and ever be the gravitational weight force. It'll always be WE something. Because it is the planet as a whole that gravitates you. It is just the piece of the planet underneath your feet or building or whatever that normals you. Yeah.
Like wait for.
Well, yeah. If you were asking, the Newton's third law pair to WEP would be WPE. That actually is a thing. It's not always true that Earth is the second letter, because the Earth can feel gravity forces too. Newton's third law says that if the Earth gravitates a book, then the book also gravitates the Earth. So the Earth can be the feeler of gravity as well. WPE can also be a valid answer to a question. No, every time the Earth deals, it also feels. Newton's third law guarantees that. Wait, MG. Wait, what?
I understand the fact that object like the weight, like Earth can feel ambient. I understand.
Yes, good.
So in this case, W, right?
Yes.
But in that case, the Earth was a feeler, then ambient.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be W.
You're right. If I'm talking about the Earth, yes. WPE. You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Would it be the F is equals to mass of the physics book and the cup?
If I say the system, the object under study is book cup, yes, I would use the combined mass. If I just am talking about the forces on the cup, not the book, I don't care about the mass of the book. If I just talk about the forces on the book, I wouldn't include the mass of the cup.
But it's still like the normal force, the amount of normal force the table would be, applying on the physics book would be a cumulative of the force, like of the whole weight.
It will absolutely change how much the book pushes on the cup, yes. But the table does not touch the cup. It does not exert a force on the cup. It exerts a force on the book. Physics exerts that force on the book cup. Can the cup not have weight force? Does weight force only apply from a planet? Yes, based on how you're answering this. Okay, homework number 2. Sorry, no. Okay, here's the review from what I said at the very beginning of class. The triplet notation, how to describe a force, what I've been saying for 3 classes about how to describe a force. There are 3 letters. The first letter means the kind of the force. The kind has to be one of these 5 letters. WNTSF. The dealer, the feeler, is what is exerting the force, what is feeling the force. It must be a single letter. The single letter is written on the diagram, or is the planet Earth E. Or if I'm talking about Mars, M, whatever. So these must be objects in the diagram or the specifically stated planet or whatever you're on. Briefly about the forces. Go back to lecture 2 on forces. I went over these, but here's the brief. Weight is a long-range gravitational force. It's the only thing that exerts without touching. It's only exerted between planets and stuff, or suns and stuff. Normal, two solids trying not to go through each other, always at right angles to the surfaces, not always vertical. T, tension, the only thing that you know about that deals with cords, ropes, strings, chains. S, springs, we'll get to that. It's never the answer for yet until we've covered it. F, friction, it's never the answer yet until we've covered it. Just really focusing on W, N, and T today and probably on Wednesday too. Does that feel better for understanding this triplet notation? Okay. Do I want the letters capitalized when ordering? I already answered that. Okay, so I'm going to blow up the Earth. I know. That's where I'm getting to as well. I am in a rocket in deep space. List every object capable. Oh, and the rest of the situation. I am in a rocket. Shoo, phew, pow, pow. I am apparently standing on, because I can't draw a good stick figure, I'm standing on a chair. And here's me. I am a professor or person or physicist, whatever. P is the person, C is the chair, R is the rocket. I'm in deep space. Question? No, I don't think so. No looky like that. My arms aren't that long. Okay. So I am zooming through space. I am accelerating. I am being zoomed by the chair that's pressing me. Chair that I'm standing on is giving me the force to speed me up. I want you to tell me, what did I just ask? Okay, so what I want is every object capable of exerting a force on the person. Is this triplet notation? Why isn't it triplet? Because I said object, not force. Should I capitalize? Doesn't matter. This is G for golf. Again, look at the diagram if you are in doubt about what is going on. Looky here. Deep space. Hint. Oh my God. Look, my friends, look at the diagram. The question, what's the question again, is list all the objects interacting with the person. Comma separated, just the letter. If you're in doubt, look at the freaking diagram. It's right there. One minute. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time's up. Why is E wrong? Because I specifically stated deep space. Why is R wrong? They're not touching. Why is P wrong? You can't push yourself. Why is G wrong? Where the hell is G? What's that mean? What is F? Where's an F? There's no effing F. What's P? Oh, P is the person. You can't push yourself, okay? Person goes to the astronaut lands and throws a baseball in the air for his son. Before the kid hits the baseball, after the astronaut throws the baseball, I don't know why it's an astronaut, it doesn't matter. List the forces on the baseball. List the forces on the baseball as the father. I don't know why it's an astronaut. Shoo. B is base. Let me write this so it's visible. Wow, that's a big baseball. Or a really small person. Here's the sun, here's the baseball. Um, uh, 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 oh, right. I'm not going to say sun. I'm going to say it's my son. It's Nalo. Here's the ground. And he has that thing that you use in baseball, which the baseball stick. There we go. The baseball stick. Bats? No, it's the stick. I'm sure of it. I read a fanfic about it once. I'm sure. So the question is, list every object exerting a force on the baseball as the baseball is thrown, after it is thrown, but before it hits the baseball stick. Yes. No, 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 no. The astronaut has landed. I don't know why it's an astronaut. It's me on the Earth. Every object exerting a significant force that we've talked about on the baseball. This is Google form H. H stands for question. Loud. Every object exerting a significant force on the baseball as it flies, as shown. Object, 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 object. Did I say triplets? Did I say force? Check with your neighbor to see whether I said force or object. Did I say to write out the whole damn word? I do not think I did. Okay, 10 seconds. Final chance. Time's up. What's touching the baseball? Nothing. Is the person touching the baseball? Is the baseball stick touching the baseball? It's just Earth exerting a gravitational force. E. 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 Esports. You know what? Screw it. I am going to ask an exit question. Exit question that you have 30 seconds to answer. 30 seconds, and I'm closing the Google form at the time that I ask, okay? Are you ready? Are you set? Don't forget to hit submit after. This goes in I. Which letter? I for India. I. Ready? What is the letter that we use for the kind of force that the Earth exerts gravitationally? What is gravity? What is that letter? One letter. The correct answer was W. Weight.
Friction is only there when something is.
Not necessarily. Right now, there's a friction force opposing my push force. That's not moving. It's trying to prevent moving. Another example. There's a friction force getting this sucker to move. Another example, if I'm walking, there's friction between me and the floor. If there were no friction, I would just walk in place and moonwalk.
I see.
If there's sliding, skidding, friction. Okay. How do you feel with it?